Hello everyone, my name is Elin Jeme, and in this video I'll be demonstrating my enterprise endpoint vulnerability remediation lab, which is right here as you can see. And the project covers the complete vulnerability management lifecycle, beginning with asset discovery and ending with risk analysis, remediation planning, and validation. So this project was completed entirely in my personal virtual environment in which I use a VMware, as you can see right here. So this VMware is going to help us demonstrate the same workflow commonly used by enterprise vulnerability management teams. So this is my repository link. So this lab is fully available for everyone, so whoever want to access it, you can definitely click on this link or just uh, tap the link and you'll be able to access the entire um, lab. And you can also have access to all the documents that I was able to build or to write as well. And here are my diagrams. They are located in this folder here. So before performing any assessments, I built a small enterprise environment using virtual machine, which is our VMware Workstation Pro. So this lab consists of four virtual machines that I was able to use. So as you can see, we have our clients O1, which is one of them, and then we have our clients O2, which is one of the uh, hosts that I was able to use, and then we have our domain controller, which is right here. As you can see, this is our server, our Windows server, and then we have this is our Active Directory, and then we have this Ubuntu server in which I was able to um, install Nessus Essential, and then I'm able to use it through our domain controller. This is the web-based um, of our Tenable Nessus Essential. So these are my scans, and then I'll be talking about them in a moment here. So after building this, first I have a Windows server that I was already explaining earlier on, in which we already log into. And then this is running our Active Directory services. And then we also have our two client machines here that I was able to show running Windows 11. So, and then I finally deploy an Ubuntu server running Tenable Nessus Essentials, which acts as a vulnerability scanner, and in which we can access here, as I was saying earlier on. So all systems communicate over an isolated private VMware network, allowing realistic security testing without exposing any production systems. And talking about network topology, we do have a network topology um, based on what I had to deal with in this system. So this diagram illustrates the network layout, and then the domain controller is isolated, and then it's located on or at this IP address right here, which is like 192.168.10.10, and then we have our two client machines that are right here. So they're right here. So this is one of our client machine. I'm just going to type the password just to demonstrate. Mm, Okay, so when we come right here, we right click and then so host name. Okay, we have our client 1 and then we also have our client 2 right here. So these are our two clients machines. Host name shows right there. So the diagram that we have here illustrates the network layouts, and then we have our domain controller, which is already isolated as well, and then two clients computers, and then we also have Ubuntu hosts right here, which host our Nessus essentials and communicate with the Windows systems during the assessment. And then we have the Active Directory, which provides authentication, which is right here. While services such as um, DNS, LDAP, Kerberos, SMB, and RPC supports enterprise communication. So we do have Active Directory right here. And talking about the technologies that I was able to use in this system, I use multiple systems as I was explaining or was showing already. So we have the primary technology which was used include the VMware Workstation Pro, as you can see, which is right here. And then I use a Windows Server in which I'm already logged into. We have our server right here, and then we have Windows 11 computers. Then we also have our Tenable Nessus Essential, which is right here. This is the web interface, as you can see. And then we also have SMB authentication, and then LDAP and Kerberos and DNS. So we do have like DNS services right here, which is our domain controller right there. And then these technologies simulate a typical enterprise Windows environment. And then talking about Nessus overview, we have our Nessus essential, which is right here. And then the first assessment was host discovery. So this was one of our first um, enterprise of vulnerability assessment. So we were able to discover these three hosts, and then we have this is our um, domain, and then as we can see, these are part of like the vulnerabilities, and then the CVSS. So the common vulnerability scoring system, which is low right here, as you can see, it's at 3. And then we also have our clients machines right here. So we are able to discover those hosts. So the first assessment was host discovery, as I said earlier, and the objective was simply to determine which systems were online, and Nessus successfully identified all three enterprise hosts, confirming that the scanner could communicate with the environment. So this establishes the asset inventory before moving into more detailed security assessments. And before moving on to our scans, I would like just to demonstrate that Nessus was definitely installed and it's also running in our system here. So it's the command that I'm going to run here in our uh, Ubuntu system. So we have sudo system ctl status net Nessus USD, and then I'll just type my password. Okay, as you can see, um, we have a Nessus vulnerability scanner which is active and it's definitely running in our system. And then the ports that Nessus usually uses is 8834. So I'm just going to type it one more time here so you can show that it's definitely listening to that port. So it's sudo ss dash tulnp space pipe grep 88, no, okay, then 8834. As you can see, it definitely listening to that port. When we come right here in our domain controller, we can definitely see this is the ports that Nessus uses. So it's right here, and the same thing that we see in our Ubuntu server. So that was one of the things that I definitely wanted to demonstrate before moving forward to the next steps. So I'm just going to demonstrate our um, basic network scan that we were able to use. So we do have our different scans here. So this one was our basic network scan when I was configuring it. I just naming enterprise vulnerability assessment. So we have these three hosts that were found in our system. So after identifying the hosts, I perform a basic network scan, and this authenticated assessment identifies open ports that we can see. Um, we do have multiple open ports here. This one is one of them. We have a UDP, and then we do have different ports here as well, as you can see. So this authenticated assessment identifies open ports, running services, and publicly available information. So the scan detected, as we can see right here, we have multiple services running. We have DHCP, and then we do have SMB, we have LDAP, and then we also have Kerberos, we have net bias. We do have multiple ports that are definitely working or open in our system. So Nessus also identify the DHCP, which is right here. And then the DHCP configuration information successfully enumerated Windows SMB. So we have SMB here, these SMB services. And then these findings establish a baseline of the enterprise attack surface before authenticated scanning begins. So these are just helping us before any authentication scanning begins in the system. As you can see, these are our different clients systems. And then we have a credential validation, in which I was able to create under credential vulnerability validation. So this credential validation is there to help us scan, or it provides much deeper visibility than unauthenticated scans, because Nessus can inspect, install patches and local security policies, registry settings, and operating system configuration. So as we can see right here, when we click on one of these hosts, we have our operating system security patch assessment available. And then we have a Windows SMB, which was detected. And then this scan help us like authenticate successfully on our domain controller. So, however, the authentication failed on both Windows um, clients that we have here. Although this reduced scan visibility, it accurately reflects a common enterprise troubleshooting scenario that we do see right here. And identifying and resolving authentication issues is an important part of enterprise vulnerability management. So we do have other scans that we did, and then we now have our active directory enumeration, which is right here. So what I did, I performed an active directory enumeration scan here, and the objective was to identify enterprise um, directory services, and Nessus successfully detected LDAP and uh, LDAP secure and global catalog services, confirming that the target system was operating as a domain controller. As you can see, we do have the right here. We do have all LDAP systems. And this is like the ports of LDAP. So as you can see, the information that our system was able to demonstrate. So we have our LDAP secure right here. So even without successful authentication, network enumeration can provide valuable infrastructure information. And then we have the last assessment that we did. We have our enterprise malware assessment. So finally, what I did, I performed an enterprise malware assessment, and no malware indicator uh, were detected on any system, as we can see right here. So these are all information. And however, because authentication failed on two endpoints, Nessus could not perform a full credential malware inspection. So this demonstrates the importance of authenticated assessment when evaluating endpoint security. So we do have all these information here that can give us more detail when we definitely click on the specific scan that we have here, this information. So these are all just informational. And the one of the last things that I'm going to definitely demonstrate here is our risk analysis and remediation that we have right here in our portfolio, and then I'm just going to talk about it right here. This is our risk dashboard, and after completing all assessments, I analyzed the results. No critical or high severity vulnerabilities were identified. So the overall security posture was rated low to moderate. So we do have our risk analysis all the way down here. So, and then the most significant issue was incomplete credential scanning caused by authentication failures. My remediation recommendations included verifying administrative SMB credentials, enabling remote registry and WMI, and improving Windows firewall configuration, implementing um, routine patch management, performing scheduled credential vulnerability assessments, following remediation um, validation scans should be conducted to verify that security improvements have been successfully implemented. And performing scheduled credential vulnerability assessment is one of the things that I would definitely recommend to do. And we do have our GitHub repository right here. As I was saying, this document has all the information that you need. So I documented the entire project in GitHub, and the repository includes a detailed technical reports that we'll definitely find here. These are all the reports, and then the screenshots were added in these specific PDF files. So in case you want to get more information about this, you just have to come, you go to these specific folders. And then this also includes individual Nessus scan reports, as I already said it, and it also includes our network topology, executive or dashboard, meter attack mapping, risk analysis. It contains also security recommendations, and this documentation mirrors the type of reporting produced during enterprise vulnerability assessments. And the skills that were demonstrated in this specific lab environment were enterprise vulnerability management, Nessus essentials, Active Directory security, Windows authentication, SMB, credential validation, network discovery, service enumeration, malware assessment, risk analysis, security documentation, enterprise reporting. So I was able to achieve the goal that I had, and whoever want to access this project, you definitely are welcome to check it out. So here's the link. You can definitely access it here. And thank you for watching this walkthrough of my enterprise endpoint vulnerability remediation lab. And this project strengthened my understanding of enterprise vulnerability management by combining technical assessment with risk analysis, remediation planning, and professional documentation. So whoever wants to access the documents, it's right here. This is the full documentation of this project. And my goal is to continue building practical cybersecurity projects that reflect real world enterprise security operations. So if you like to explore the project further, the complete documentation, and then Nessus reports are available. So this is my GitHub repository, and all the information that I provided here, you can definitely have it. So thank you for watching.